Welcome to the GPLama YouTube channel and welcome to the first episode of Lama Drives for 2023. We're heading over to the Tour Down Under for stages, or all of the stages.
As many as we can fit in.
I was going to say stage 1, 2 and 3, but all of them. It's Saturday. These videos are a long format discussion / could be a podcast / come along for the ride as we drive long distances. Today we've got 400 or so Ks to go. We won't be talking for that long, but I will be, but we won't be recording all of that anyway. Mostly it will be about bikes. Vaughn, how you doing?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. At what point do we not say Happy New Year anymore? We're pretty far into the year. We're
A couple of days in.
14 days in. It's the 14th of Jan.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we have left little Lama with grandparents. We'll see how that goes for the week. And we're off to Adelaide. We have the bikes in the back, just like old times. Staying in the centre of Adelaide. Rides every morning if we can get it in. There's the tour village to check out. There is event catch-ups. There are companies over there. Things happening,
yeah.
Everything happening, as well as a bike race. I think there's a bike race going on.
There's a bike race.
We'll check that out.
We'll live it up in Adelaide for a week and see how the week goes.
One of our favourite weeks of the year, where all of Victoria and a lot of Australia go over to Adelaide, and it's good to see it back on the calendar after a few years of COVID, where the event was only a national level event, but they still had all the budget there, so they were televising it, it was live streamed, it was everything in the past. But anyhow, so the Pro Tour or the World Tour kicks off for both men and women over in Adelaide. Today, they've got a criterium, an exhibition event.
It's a smaller circuit than we've seen in previous years, but I'm excited because it means we could probably get around it much easier.
Yeah, in the past it was almost a kermesse around a 2.5, 3 kilometre course.
It changed every year.
Yeah, they've sort of switched it up this year again to be closer in town. So good to see. And that it's going to be very, very hot. We've just left Horsham, which has an estimated temperature of 40 degrees Celsius today. I think Adelaide's 38.
Yeah.
Beautiful day to be in the car with the air conditioner on. Anyway, all right, let's kick it off with a few discussion points, starting off with what I woke up to. This has been festering for a few days and I couldn't quite put my finger on it about what it all meant. Ray has tried to put it together as best he could because Strava aren't providing him the information that we all require, and that is Strava pricing increase for subscribers. Just what the hell is going on? We don't know. Strava are putting their prices up for the subscription service, but I think this is a great example of how not to handle a price increase.
Okay.
Let's go back to, for example, Zwift, something that I know intimately. Zwift put their prices up from, was it $10 to $15 or $10 to $20, depending on what market you're on. They communicated what that pricing was, when the change was going to be come into effect, and it was so. People got angry at a price increase, as we do, and then it was just, that was it. Strava, on the other hand, I don't know. I'll link below to Ray's video. It's absolutely hilarious. Him trying to get the information from Strava, him going through his accounts and the girl's accounts, Ray's wife. They both pay with American credit cards, but just because their account is set into different locations or home locations, they're both paying a different price for Strava. It's nuts. I went back through my Strava history. I was paying $64 something. I'm now paying $81 something, but the Australian price is now $99.
Well, when I went to try, it came up as just under $100.
But mine's a different price.
For a year.
Yeah, that's a full year, not on the monthly subscription style. So, unbelievable. Like, that should not, of all the companies where people are really pushing Strava with like, come on, innovate, do something, poke, they add freaking pickleball and yoga and a few other things as well, which is fine, but they just, Anyhow, not the way to do a price increase. No freaking details. Vaughn, you're free or subscribe?
I'm still on the free account.
Free account,
yep.
Okay.
Yep, I occasionally dabble in trying the premium, seeing what the features are, when there's a free code for a week or two, but in the end I'm quite happy to
getting
stay
away with free. Okay, yep. Cool. Next up on the list, from the technical side of things, Hammerhead Karoo 1 support kind of being sunset as of now. The firmware update that came out for the Karoo 2 yesterday or the day before, so the first update for 2023 for the Karoo 2, they indicate in that update that the Karoo 1 will no longer be getting these feature updates. So effectively sunsetting new features for the Karoo 1. The Karoo 1 is a big elephant of a device. It's a big unit and definitely a few years old now. The Karoo 2 is still even getting a bit long in the tooth, being around 2 years old, just over 2 years old, I think. Surprising move from Hammerhead, now owned by SRAM, to sunset that feature support though for what was only their last generation device. Typically, we see companies sunset 2 generations or 3 generations behind what Microsoft do for operating systems. They still support operating systems for feature releases and bug fixes and things for quite some time. Definitely a lot more than just the previous revision anyway. I would have liked to have seen this be announced once Karoo 3 was out. So then sunset, the second older generation, rather than just like the last step. There's no word on Karoo 3, we have no details. Hopefully they're working on something. We'll find out hopefully this year, maybe, I don't know. Looking forward to Karoo 3 to see what they can do with the resources of SRAM behind them. And now with what the software is doing, there's a truck doing some interesting moves over double white lines. But so my concern there is it's going to encourage people to upgrade from the Karoo 1 to the Karoo 2. There's even a buyback or a trade-in deal.
Okay.
But then if they do release the Karoo 3, then those people are going to feel a bit jibbed because they're going to have the older version again, which was going to be sunset prior to the next, if that's what history did. Anyway, just be aware if you have a Karoo 1, you will no longer be getting feature firmware updates for that. Next up on my list is, and I have a question. Where are the other reviews of the Shimano 9200P power meter? That product has been out for well over a year on the market. My first initial look at the Shimano dual-sided power meter was back in November 2021. My full review was back in August 2022. We're now in 2023, and there are no other decent or in-depth reviews of that power meter out there. Now, the reason I bring this up is because Bike Radar have just recently published their full in-depth review of the Dura-Ace R9200.
That's the whole
group set as a whole.
Okay.
Now, the crowning, the jewel in the crown, the showpiece and all that, and the thumbnail for this is that power meter. That's what they've used. But the paragraph, and I shall read it here, there's also, there's pages and pages of really good information on the group set. I love the Shimano Road group sets. I ride mine, you've seen the update videos I've published on that. Vanya riding the 11-speed Di2 Road, great. Yep. Their review goes top to bottom of all the good information about it, ups and downs. When it comes to the power meter, which is in their thumbnail, it states, there is a dual-sided power meter version of the crankset. That deserves its own separate review. Look out for that further down the line.
Not in the same review.
That's it. That's all they talk about with the power meter, which is we're further down the line, for God's sake. We're a year and a half down the line. Do the review of the power meter. Look, I rely on those reviews to back up my findings and my observations. Are my findings of those results a once-off? Is it a product issue? Is it a me issue? I look forward to reading those reviews.
Stay tuned.
Pick up your game. I guess another side note on that is that if you do want to know if those cranksets are able to be made into a power meter that works, check out my review of the Stages dual power meter for the R9200. They've proven it can be done.
Yeah. And
works quite well. It's on the bike in the back here. Side note on that, in regards to power meter testing, I've did a calculation. I did 263 comparative power meter tests last year, 2022. Wow. And that wasn't all of them, because the number of tests that I did, I discarded because it was just the same data as the previous ride. Again, I learnt nothing new from it. So 263 comparative tests. So a lot of hands-on experience with installing a power meter, updating the power meter, be it pedals, be it crank, be it spider, across the board. If I'm not making a video, I am spending time gaining that experience or data collection or riding or testing or just getting to know a product. And that's what's been going on last year. So tons and tons of power meter testing last year. You saw the result of that with a number of power meter reviews coming out. Now, I don't mention these a lot on my content because I have no time or space for negative comments towards myself, especially in regards to if a product doesn't work, it's not my problem. I'll just report that. And a lot of people take it upon themselves to drunk post or just be complete dicks and attack me. But somebody the other day took it upon themselves to spend a few paragraphs emailing me, trying to dress me down, trying to discredit everything that I've done in regards to power meters. Now, I agreed with a lot of their points, and then I blocked them because they were a dick. So we won't see any of their comments here. I'm happy to have a conversation in two ways that benefits both sides of the conversation, but when it's a complete rant, you can disappear. A few notes on that though, which I think are worth sharing. My testing is completely transparent. The protocols that I use inside and out are not magic protocols. They are simply real world scenarios, real testing, sim mode, erg mode. If you watch any of my reviews, those testings and what I do are completely documented. If you want to do the same tests, you can. I also discuss what I look for in a power meter, if it works and if it doesn't. We look for spikes, dips, offset changes, response times, dropouts is a rare one these days because that's a solved problem most of the time. But yes, dropouts, and then any correlation between power discrepancies and cadence. Is it cadence? Because if cadence is not right, power's not going to be right. Sort of that's chicken and an egg thing. The chicken has to come first. Cadence. I discussed all of that in the video, so nothing is hidden, nothing is, and so this I can only assume it was a drunk post. It was trying to dress me down how unscientific it all was, but what I'm trying to continue to do from day one is test at a consumer level and keep closer to the consumer experience side than the lab side. If I was to get power meters, put them on a rig, or smart trainers, and put them on a rig and press a button, walk out of the room, come back an hour later and look at the data and go, there you go, that has no place for what I'm doing in the reviews. It has a place for we're testing about longevity, reliability. I mean,
and the company should have done that already, right?
And they do. and that's the thing, they do that. And I have had, I'll lightly skim over this, I have had a tour of a facility last year where a company was doing exactly that with a cycling device. And then when I was sent the device, my experience was completely different. The reason being is that I was stepping on and riding the device cold. The device got hot. I stepped off, it cooled down. I stepped back on, it got hot. There was temperature variation. Also, there was a lot of variation in the way I pedal because humans are not motors. We're meat motors that are very inconsistent. So the lab test was there. The product's going to work hardware-wise, but when a cyclist got on it, you got different results. So anyway, long story short, I completely acknowledge the testing that I do is at a consumer level, and there is a reason for that. It's cheap, but I'm doing it with consumer level hardware as well. All documented, all good. Those comments were deleted and the person has been blocked, but let's just, because he was calling a spade. Dude, I'm a spade. Anyway, bit of a rant on that, but I think it's important. Okay, further down the rabbit hole, let's talk about InfoCrank. Their InfoCrank and their marketing is always about, we are the most accurate power meter, and then they attempt to shit on everyone else. And there's no polite way of putting it. They do shit on all the other brands because they are the most accurate. They say that they've used by British Cycling. They say there's an expensive testing rig they test their meters against, and they are the best. That's great. What happens when you put it on a bike? How easy is it to put on a bike? Are there any dropouts? What's the cadence like? How does it operate? Does it swing with, does it need an offset? All of these things. That's what matters. That's what matters, not the marketing stuff. Anyhow, that's where we're at. Following on from this, I usually have my laptop in front of me, but now we're using different mics. I can use the phone. Wow, Conniver, we're here for lunch. Next up, CyclingTips is dead.
Is it?
It is.
Or is it just...
I think the domain still exists. If you're watching the video... de-stuffed. If you're watching the video and you're a follower of what I do and it's a cycling scene in general, you've probably been following what's going on there. I met Wade back in 2008, tour of Bright, riding up Rose White Gap. Was it Rose White? I think it was Rose White. Is that the one in the middle? Rose White? Yeah, it is. Wade rolls up next to me, introduces himself, and I said, oh yeah, you've got that blog, CyclingTips, the blog spot. He goes, oh, you know the site, do you? That's just when he was starting out. So I've been following CyclingTips all along. However, I won't dive into all the details that's gone on there, but look, it looks like Wade and the crew are spinning up something new. We don't know exactly what that's going to be. They're calling it new media or a new way of doing things. Based on the job adverts that I've seen, it looks to be a CyclingTips version 2 though, but yeah, I'm keen to see what they're up to. I believe 100% there is room for more of what they could do in this space.
Yeah, always good to get more cycling media out there.
Well, given that that's gone down and Outside have gobbled up a lot of other cycling media, there's not much out there. So I'm keen to see what they can do. How about we go to Bordertown for lunch?
Yep.
There's not much open here.
Yep.
Go over the border. So it'll be very interesting to see what they could do. I think there is room definitely to sit somewhere between the GCNs and the... What's on the other end of GCN? I don't even know what's on the other end of GCN. GCN covered quite a lot.
Well, if that's it, the more polished media, the local blogger is the other end.
The relatable, independent creator side of things. GCN, I think, have reached an age. No, I don't. It's trendy to shit on GCN. I don't want to do that. They had their place, and I'm not going to go down there. Oh, we're being deceived by their ads. We know their ads. We know exactly what they're doing. I think everyone knows that now. So we're now at the point where GCN's GCN. It's what they do. I think there's room for someone else to step in and do similar content in a different way. I mean, how many times do you want to see GCN telling you on their tech channel that you're unclipping correctly? I don't watch that. I'm more into the technical side of things. The content that I produce is how to update your R8170 ST R87 whatever with the PC MCIA. That's technical shit. That's the level that, I mean, it's nerdy and no one really wants to watch that stuff, I'll be honest, but I find it interesting, so that's what I do. There needs to be a middle ground there of covering, like, no one gives a shit how to clip out and clip into a pedal, but also no one gives a shit about the details of firmware updates on your levers with a wire. Some people do, some people do. There's a middle ground here where most people will watch some entertainment things.
But that's the thing. Is it entertainment? Is it educational? Can it be both? And that's where, you know, like you just said, there's plenty of room to play.
There's something there. If I knew what it was, I'd be doing it. Maybe I already am. I don't know. But to make it, to bootstrap it being funded by members.
Okay, is that the...
I think that's where they're
approach?
heading, and not be sort of influenced more by the marketing spend. That's going to be very difficult to have full-time employees. I mean, this is related to what I do. I had to eat shit for many, many months before I even made $1 out of YouTube. Years, thank you. But as an independent creator, I could do that. I could risk like just waiting it out until that volume came up to a sustainable level and on YouTube. For them to have...
But you're not, you don't have a marketing team. You don't have lots of people behind you. Yeah.
It's all me. It's just me. So yeah, to do everything, that's what I could risk. But having full-time employees from day one, that's going to be really hard to do. However, let's see what they do.
That's another train. This is the third train we've seen in the last 2 hours.
We've been driving for 2 hours. We're not even halfway there. So keen to see what they're up to. I think it'll be very, very well supported initially by people who are burnt by the shit that's gone down on with Outside and all that. But my thoughts are, if Lance Armstrong can create himself a new media company and come back from being one of the most hated people in cycling to being one of the most successful new media people in cycling, I think Wade and crew can also do it and do it well. Just don't start rubbing amp human on your legs and telling everybody it works, Wade, and I think you'll be right. My mountain bike video the other day, new bike day, Pivot Mach 4 SL. Finally got the new bike day video out after a very slow build with that. I just have to say on that one, thank you to everybody who is an experienced mountain biker who has commented on that. I put my hand up and said, like, this is a new discipline for me. This is the reason why I've got the bike. I'm keen to check it out. I've got to learn some new skills here. Where do I start? Tons of good information coming through. So faith in humanity restored after being abused by my power meter reviews. I got a lot of good information back to me from the viewers and commenters on that. So I really, really appreciate it.
I've got a question then. If they're giving some good feedback, like, how do we store these massive antlers of handlebars on mountain bikes? I seem to just always be knocking it in the garage and going, can we move the mountain bike somewhere? I can't get in and out.
Even getting the bike, I've been riding the bike on the trainer to test the power meter that's on it. And getting it through doorways is different.
Yeah.
The roadie just fits through the doorways. The gravel bikes aren't too bad through the doorways. At home, the 29, it's like, oh, I've got to do this and this to the door. Yeah.
You've even got a double doorway.
Still doesn't fit through it too well. Steady racks. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you store. I think steady racks might be the answer.
Yeah.
Or we're just going to start whacking our heads on the handlebars if they're up.
I don't know. Roof mounted. I don't know.
Yeah, people do the roof mount things. They like pulley them up and they, Store them in the attic. Or do we just have to buy a new house? I think so. Other things I'm working on just randomly before we just get into freestyle chats. The 4eyes Precision 3 power meter. There is a beta firmware out for that I am testing. It's not out for everyone. It's just been assigned to one of the units that I have. Initial rides look really, really good. Now this unit, the P3 from 4eyes, single-sided left Shimano, I'd received that over a year ago. I think it was early December last year. And the thing, look, let's call a spade because we're all about spades. It was horrible. There was, I think, a 5-second delay early on. They sent me another piece of hardware, so another unit altogether, same deal. They were working on the firmware. Something was up with that. I think they tried to squeeze 800 hours of battery life out of that thing, which is just way too much. So there was compromise somewhere with that unit. Bloody horrible. Anyway, I waited 6 months of firmware updates and writing, and then I just threw my hands up and went, bugger, I've spent so much time on this, I've given them so much data, I've got to get something back out of this to redeem some of the time and money that I've wasted on this thing. So I did my review. The review was critical of it because so be it. Anyhow, 12 months on, we have a new firmware, testing, it's looking pretty good. And again, on that, speaking of there's no reviews of the Shimano power meter out there, there's also no reviews of the Precision 3 power meter out there either. There's a theme there. If something doesn't work very well, we see less reviews of it. So hopefully there's a few more happy reviews coming soon if that firmware sticks. The mountain bike has this Sugai power meter on it, tiny little baby spider power meter, overreading from when I first installed it by 5.5%. Something I could pick straight away on the trainer. It's erg steady state, so I'm still playing with that, still getting other power meters to compare to, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm still yet to install the blips or satellite shifters on my road bike.
Oh,
which
man.
I'm missing. Still got, because you've got the...
I heard all through the Festi 500 how much you were missing your blips on your road bike. Did you install them?
These are the changes here if you'd want. So I've got the changes here,
yeah.
And I like satellite shifters. It's just easy rather than have to do that all the time. I haven't installed them yet.
Also, when you're climbing, when you're up top, you can just go beep,
beep, beep, beep. Yep, I know.
It's amazing.
I wish Shimano had some wireless blips like SRAM do. That would be nice. But I have them, I just haven't wired them in yet. So coming soon on that one.
Good.
That's it. That's all my topics. I'm done. Done for now. Vaughn, anything else to bring up, discuss? You're over for the week to Adelaide. You've got your road bike.
I'm on holidays.
You're on holidays. Any events that you're targeting?
Yes, I'm going to the Rafa Escape on Monday. So it's about 50-60 kilometres of hills in Adelaide, and then off to an amazing luncheon at Barterino, I think, afterwards. And then on Thursday, I'm doing the Rafa Women's Ride, which is something I look forward to every time I go to the Tour Down Under, to see other women from around the world and Australia to come and do some rides in the hills.
And this is the first year that the Pro Tour, the Women's World Tour, is part of TdU. So this is a brand new thing. So all of the top women's teams will be here.
Yes, they should have actually finished racing by then too. Not saying that they're going to come out on a recreation ride with us ladies, but
I reckon they should. They would. It would be a fun
love
around.
to see them. Yeah. Throw it out there. It's just fun for everyone. And yes, there's lots of other pop-up rides from other clothing brands. And
all the TdU.com. I'll put a link.
Yeah, if you can get it to load, wouldn't work for me the two times I tried it. But over 2 different weeks. So good luck, and hope to see everyone at TdU. Come say hi.
All the TdU.com. There we go. Okay, so all the TdU.com has, it's all up. It's up. Pedal Mafia sponsored site, it appears, plus. Okay, cool. It's loaded. I'll put links in the video description below, plus here. So if you're in Adelaide, or if you just want to check out the amount of events that are actually taking place, there is lots. There is lots and lots and lots going on here. Yeah,
considering, marketing spend is pretty low on most organisations at the moment, and confidence in that kind of thing is dropping. I'll be interested to see the numbers there this week. Regardless, we're going to have a fantastic week away from Melbourne, Ballarat, the whole shebang. So we're looking forward to a good holiday.
And the weather's looking good as well.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of numbers, let's go back to Ballarat's national championships.
Yeah.
previous years, pre-COVID, on the hill at Ballarat, the Buninyong, the KOM section, it looked like a Tour de France stage. 3 or 4 deep, the whole way up the last 300, 400, 500 metres. Flanders flags, fans everywhere. It was crazy. That was previously. And the tourism bodies estimated 20,000 people would visit on that day.
Okay.
Or on the weekend for that. We had COVID come along and interrupt a few things. Last week, there was predicted there would be 15,000 attendees at the National Championships on that weekend. 15,000. No, it's 5,000 down. Pre-COVID, okay. Oh, sorry, post-COVID, so okay, we get that. Visibly, it was noticeable. The numbers were well down. I put a few things out on Twitter about this. Now, you won't get a lot of conversation around it, especially from the broadcasters or commentators or any of the promoters, because it's promoted by Tourism Ballarat, Tourism Victoria, City of Ballarat. That's who's funding it. So they're not going to talk about the numbers if they're down, and holy hell, they were down. Very, very different atmosphere. Now, this is from being out there in person. You can even see it in live stream. There's no hiding it when there's no people.
It felt a bit club race-like.
From the spectator point of view, the racing was still great.
The racing was better.
The strongest races for years and years. I mean, the final for the men's race, battling out between Simon Clark, Luke Plapp, and Michael Matthews. Like, that was the 3 battling it out for the finish.
And they were just the big names.
That was the big. It was an insanely deep field, but the viewers, the spectators, the actual fans there. The Ballarat City Council said they estimated 15,000 people would be there on the weekend. Their press release the other day claiming a huge success of the event was estimated 10,000 people. Huge success. 60% or 66% of people.
I saw 10,000.
No, and that's the first thing that I thought as well. 10,000 people, I'd go with a few thousand. 5,000 would be really pushing it. However, they're the official numbers. Let's keep with those official numbers because I'm sure they're correct. They're not. And it's something that really can't be discussed because then there will be big calls at the decision-making table about whether they have the championship there or not next year, or the year after, or the year after that when the contract is up for renewal.
Yeah, it does cost a lot of money to put the event on. There's no doubt about that, and we do need good sponsorship and stuff for the sport. So,
but it's in trouble. Let's look, another spade. It's a spade. The sport's in trouble. Competitive road cycling, not the sport of cycling or the activity of cycling is, I think, quite healthy. Gravel, adventure, mountain biking's getting big. Very big. CX, it's had a rise and a bit of a dip. But competitive road cycling, and then even the entries to something like the Tour of Bright recently, they were about half for this year for when we were racing, say 10 years ago. The Grand Fondos, and even the entries from the club level riders. And that's a good indication of how popular things really are. Down. Sorry, it's a bit of a downer to talk about and a negative, but it's something that needs to be discussed now, because if we don't discuss it now and start looking at the reasons of these reduction in viewers and participation, then in 3 or 4 years' time, when things completely die, we don't want to be sitting around scratching our asses thinking, what could we have done? So I think these are the conversations that need to be had at Cycling Australia, if possible, if they can actually influence that at all. Yeah. Anyhow, be interesting to see.
Yeah.
What else is on the world of cycling? That's pretty much it. 36 degrees outside. It's quite warm.
I don't know if I'm quite heat acclimatized or acclimated for this week, in all honesty. I might be looking for the ice packs down the neck.
The Garmin didn't tell you that? I got heat acclimated the other day for being indoors.
Well, my Garmin might just be slightly upgraded for the week.
Okay, Von's got a loaner. I've got the 1040 solar because it's brilliant to use the 1040 solar when the sun's doing that. By the way...
And what will I be using?
You're using the 1030 Plus, which hasn't been sunset for support yet.
Okay.
It's a previous generation
There's
unit.
no sunsets on my Garmin.
It can tell you the sunset time, though, every day. So you've gone over to that. You've also got the RCT 715 on the rear.
Oh, yeah.
So we're running one each this week.
Yeah, I tried to do like a little edit up the other day of my first use of the camera.
It's the Garmin Varia radar with the camera inbuilt.
Yep. Yeah, and it was interesting because, like, obviously I'm not looking at my Garmin every time a car passes me or this or that, and it's not going to record every time a car passes me.
Yes, it will. I've configured it to do that.
Okay. Well, maybe it is gonna. What it also did was it noted when I passed my fellow riders very quickly, and then they would approach me quickly. So then
Right.
it would trigger the.
Just to let everyone know, I've set yours to record on record on vehicle detection or
Right.
on approaching whatever, a person, anything that detects it and
Yeah.
sets the alarm off. It will then start recording, and then 60 seconds past all green or 90 seconds past all green, it'll continue to record.
Cool. Yeah, so that was fun. Meant I had a few. We're crossing the border to South Australia.
What's
Sorry.
the time? The time's going to change.
Oh, we're going to lose half an hour. Oh, I'm in the past.
Well, that's Adelaide for you. What do you expect?
Yeah. So anyway,
Just
I
kidding,
had
Adelaide.
a little play around with seeing what the footage came up with, understanding how it saves files down to the system and locks them.
And how did you go getting the footage off that device, Yvonne?
Uh,
Okay, that answered that question.
I had to pop the card.
It's still a garbage truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to pop the card out, and it was my first foray into video editing on my PC as well, because I don't do that. That's your job. And
is.
I think the automatic application for it was ClipChamp, which is a new acquisition by Microsoft. A little automatic, video
hang on,
editing
so
program.
Garmin didn't tell you, like, this is Windows 11 told you to do that.
Yes.
Not Garmin. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Just want to make sure
So
Garmin
this is
hadn't
when-
acquired another company.
No. Windows had, Microsoft had acquired ClipChamp recently, and that was the really easy video editing software. So that was cool.
Here's one.
Use that for the first time.
Here's one for people watching the video all the way through here.
Check it out on my YouTube.
I'll put links below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Here's a really interesting one, and another one. Another discussion point as we wait for lunch, as we tick over the kilometres in almost 110k zone, is it? Soon.
So,
My question is, on the Garmin theme,
yeah.
are Garmin really a cycling company? Oh,
15Ks.
15k's to lunch. Okay, I think I can get through this in 15k's. So, okay, I'll rephrase that. Are Garmin really an innovative cycling company? Are they pushing the boundaries of things that are new? Or do they just acquire companies and do very little with this technology? Now, up on the screen here, I'll have a full list because I'm doing overlays now in the video, where at that point, back in 2006, Garmin acquired Dynastream, inventors of Ant Plus wireless connectivity. Okay, so Garmin acquired Dynastream.
Yeah.
2010, Garmin acquired Metrigear, who make the Vector power meters.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Metrigear and now Vector power meter pedals. In 2015, Garmin acquired iKubu.
I don't know what they do.
They make the cycling radar,
Oh.
which is what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
In 2016, Garmin acquired InReach. Delorme. I can't pronounce that. Not while we're bouncing along in the car. Sorry, which is InReach. So they acquired the InReach technology.
Yes, we've seen that come out. Not to
2017, Garmin acquired Alpha Mantis, real-time cycling aero sensors. We haven't seen them do anything with that. In 2019, Garmin acquired Tax for indoor training. In 2020, Garmin acquired Firstbeat, who do the physiological analysis and things like that for
Is that like the sleep analysis stuff?
correct. You're
or-
tracking your heart
Okay,
rates,
yep.
your HRVs and things like that, I
Cool.
believe. And in 2021, they acquired GEOS for satellite comms.
Oh.
I believe that's for emergency communications, etc. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 companies that Garmin have acquired to produce their current ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So my question comes back to, are Garmin a cycling company, or have they acquired all of those companies, added them to the portfolio, and then just sort of made slight tweaks and then made money off pushing those products?
Garminization of them.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a bad thing. I think this is, but it really sort of woke me up when the reason before, and this is why I got thinking about this, is because the Garmin radar with the camera on it, that let me down a lot in what I thought it could have been. And then in all the areas where it failed, the app integration, which is dog shit.
poor.
That's probably a better word for it. And trying to download your videos and the stabilization. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is going to, and the app in general, okay, it's going to be fixed in a few weeks. We're 6 months down the track and we're still having these same issues. So my question is, are they really pushing the limits here? Are we seeing any pro teams on the Garmin Rally pedals? Aren't they, they're top of the line? We see a lot of pro teams with their head units, and that's Garmin's bread and butter, navigation. But if you look at the issues that people are having with Garmin navigation and just the general, like, this is not to shit on Garmin. I love what they do and most of their products. But the head units, you compare those to aviation, which cannot screw up. You've got to be, they're regulated, they are tested rigorously, the Garmin aviation stuff has to be rock solid. Then why can't they bring a little bit of that over to the cycling side of things? Or are Garmin just acquiring, rebranding, repackaging, and doing what they're going? Again, thinking more on the tax side of things. I know the team at Tax quite well, have for years and years. We're not seeing much innovation there. Garmin have come in, kitted out the new factory. Well, Tax were halfway through building the new factory and facility anyway. I think Garmin have come in and given them more of a boost to continue doing that. I had a tour of it. It is a amazing, it's phenomenal upgrade to what they had, an amazing facility. But when the rubber hits the road, they're still selling the 2T trainer. They were doing that before Garmin came in. The Tax Neo Bike Plus, that device. And if you go through my review, Jez's review, and Ray's review on that, be it video or written, we all had the same conclusions with both erg, power, responsibility, and overall. Mine was probably a little bit more passionate in the review because I expected a lot more, and they could have solved a lot of issues with a few smaller refinements. But what are they doing with the resources of Garmin? Anyway, I'll leave that one there. Just interesting that I thought there was, 8, 9, 10 companies that have acquired. And then what next? What else could they acquire? What's... Yeah, I think
what
that's...
do we need for the future for cycling?
Well, they've got to do something with Alpha Mantis, aero sensor testing. Or are we past that point of actually caring about being the most aero we can be, which is, again, links into competitive road cycling. It's sort of on the decline a bit. Are people less interested in aero sensors? Fine, if I got you an aero sensor on your bike, would you care? That's a no.
No.
So do they focus on technologies like the camera on the back or a better camera on the front or something like that? A front camera is something they need to work on, I think.
I like the thought of something...
Why not? Just put the windscreen wipers on.
Something that would improve my experience or my longevity on the bike. That kind of thing is interesting to me. Longevity as in per ride or... Yeah, me being able to ride for longer or something like that. I don't know what the answer to that is.
1040 with the stamina, or we should be seeing this year at least, we hope, the 540 and 840 if they choose to continue those two lines for smaller head units. So there is the stamina there, which is part of I think first speed analytics will come along.
Okay.
Keep an eye on what you're doing there, I think. With that, but it pops up for me if I'm going hard. It says you've only got about 40 k's left to go, and that's all you've got in the tank. So it's interesting.
Is that taking any inputs from you to say I've just finished another bottle of drink or something like that?
It doesn't know how much you've drunk. No. There's no real-time sensor support.
Yeah, well, so something along those lines would be interesting.
Core body temperature sensor. The core.
Only if it impacts my longevity on the bike or performance. I don't know.
Your core body temperatures or your temperature sensor in general will, obviously, if it's a super hot day. I've still got the core temperature sensor. I still can't pinpoint a use for it that I can look at the data and go, okay, that's useful. As we spoke about in the last Lama Drives, the Whoop band, I've taken that off. I wore that for 6 months and I never actioned any of the data from the Whoop band. It was kind of interesting to see how much sleep I was having, but the fact that I had to keep administering the thing and keeping it updated and keeping it on my wrist and taking it on and off, I did that more than I did act on the data. If that flipped around, if I was acting more on the data or was more interested in the data that it was providing, I would continue to wear it.
Yeah.
Similar to being out on the bike. If you've got an aero sensor or a core temperature sensor, if you're not acting on the data, it's useless.
Yeah.
It really is.
So I guess in that way, wearables would be an interesting kind of next step with bike and exercise in some ways. So whether that's integrated into the watch or an updated strap in some way, whether or it be band, watch, whatever,
Yep.
Something that would be able to check my metrics as I go. Obviously, it's doing heart rate at the moment, but if it could do something else, that would be interesting.
Two big Chevys. I want a big truck. I so want a big truck. See,
we're not getting a caravan.
No, I don't need a caravan. I just want a big truck. Like those big Yellowstone trucks. Like those big Rams.
For no reason. Ranch.
For no reason whatsoever. There'd be a good little space out here for a ranch.
Yeah, I'd be interested in something like that.
Okay. I think we're seeing... Well, we discuss this more. But what we are seeing though, so we do have the core temperature sensor. It is out there. There are some aero sensors that are already out there. We do have real-time glucose monitoring with the Super Sapien stuff, which has been banned by the UCI for in-competition use. Let's discuss that another time as well. A lot of people pushing the Super Sapien stuff. You cannot use it in competition. There's also hygiene issues around having something stuck into your arm all of the time. So you can get real-time that. There are also now real-time sweat sensors. There's a company David Renton's involved with, who's ex-Swift. That does real-time hydration monitoring, is that the word? They're all out there as independents and silos. So maybe if any of those become, what's the word, consumerized?
Yeah.
That would be something
taking that to the next level.
Yeah, something for Garmin could look into. Like, I'm interested, but then again, and another whole can of worms is, at what point do we rely on our bike computers? Now, this is funny coming from me, who's all about the tech. At what point do we just say, look, I don't want to be told what my optimal robot response is? Just like Best Bike Split, that will give you your optimal pacing at your FTP. What if you say, screw it, I want to ride a little bit easier today. I don't want to be told what to do. Are we?
Yeah, not every day's a race.
Exactly right. And not all the time your FTP will be improving. We always talk about this, improve, whereas our natural state is to detrain and to become worse. Anyhow, I think we got through that 15Ks pretty well. Keen to see what Garmin do with any of their newer acquisitions. Oh, cafe and a park in the shade, right here. Loop it in. Perfect. There's a Foodland right there too. All right, good chat. Thanks for coming along to that. Again, apologies for the longer form, but these are what we've done in the past, just as longer discussion points. If you have any comments or want to enter into the discussions, as I said before, it's a two-way street. Let's have a chat about things that will improve our understanding at both levels. And yeah, we'll keep it good.
Sounds good.
Thanks for driving. Is it my turn to drive next?
Let's see after the bakery stop.
All right. I owe you lunch. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you over at the Tour Down Under. By the time I record this and hit it up, we'll be there. Woohoo! All right. See you soon.